Am I live? Live. All right. All right. So this is a video response to Tim Harper. Tim Harper did a video asking the community to help him with his research paper. He had 13 questions, and originally I was going to record this and edit it, but I want to get this done for him and in a timely manner, which I know it's been a while, but he said that he's still working on the paper, so I can still get this done in time to at least help him with this paper. But anyways, so number one, can you please describe in detail any negative situations that came about in your life because you played RPGs? For example, were you ever bullied, belittled, made fun of, told you were going to hell because you play those games, etc.? Well, I had comments on a couple videos from somebody who did not accurately portray a Christian and said that I was going to hell because I played RPGs. They said it was the devil's work, basically. So I have been told that, and I tried to have an adult conversation with them and told them that really it's just playing make-believe, and they weren't having it. So anyways, I have been told that. I also I've had people make fun of me for it a little bit, or try to. Now, and it's as an adult, quite a few times, I would say, in the last couple of years, since I've been more open about it. And it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's because of how I handle it. I can see how some people it would really bother. And, for example, if you don't take criticism well in the first place, you probably wouldn't react well to being, people giving you a hard time about it. I personally I let things roll off my back. People try to make fun of me. I kind of turn it around on them, Let's see. For example, the other day, Pokemon Go is really big right now, and I have a friend who's been playing it. And on Facebook, I was joking with him. I said, real men don't play Pokemon Go. Or maybe it was somebody else saying, I think it was his dad or somebody. And so I commented and I said, yeah, real men don't do that. And so someone said, D&D ? And so I replied, hell yeah, D&D's for real men. But anyways, so I don't let stuff get to me like that. I have a couple people at work who have tried to tease me about it, but they know that it doesn't bother me. So they don't really tease me about it anymore, or try not to, really. But yeah, some people think it's nerdy. In high school, I tried to get into D&D groups and stuff. I couldn't, but I didn't get made fun of for it, but I also wasn't as open about, hey, I played this game. So, not that I was like hiding it. It never came up in conversation. What skills do you think you have personally improved upon by playing RPGs? I don't know if it's because of playing RPGs, but I definitely have a lot of confidence, and I really don't care much about what a lot of people think of me. And what I mean by that is compared to normal, like your average person, I think. I really, don't, or maybe part of that's because of the YouTube channel. I just, people are going to say what they're going to say, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And it is what it is, RPGs, for example, when you're role-playing in character or whatever, some people might think it's a little weird. Even people at your own table might think you're a little bit over the top, but who cares? You're just having fun, So I think confidence a little bit has come from that, whether it's the YouTube channel or just playing. So I'd probably say confidence more than anything, but that could have came from other things. I'm not really sure. Who introduced you to RPGs, and what was your first experience like playing them? The guy's name was Doug King. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I was 12, 11, somewhere in there. I think I was like 11. And so it may have been like 96. And he was a big Rifts fan at that time. He had a home group he played with at the time. And he was an older guy. He was probably in his mid-20s, early mid-20s or something around then. So he was significantly older. He was engaged. He had 2 stepdaughters. And great guy. He used to talk to me for hours about RPGs. You know, we lived in an apartment complex, and he lived across the park. I lived on the main block, and the park was in the middle. And I would go over there, and we'd talk outside his like sitting on his balcony because he smoked. Or we would, talk at the pool about it because he would volunteer to go watch the pool because we had a volunteer person that was always at the pool. And so he did that a lot so his daughters could go swimming. And my mom used to be a volunteer. And he actually, I think, used to be friends with my uncle, like in high school. And so that's part of it too. My mom knew him from the past and actually introduced me to him. But so anyways, we would talk about Rifts all the time. Palladium books was his deal. He played Heroes Unlimited, TMNT, I think Robotech, whatever, like all sorts of different things. But mostly Palladium books. I think he may have had a couple D&D books, but I just remember he had 2 shelves. I remember going and seeing Spawn with him when that came out. And, a house sitted for him. I watched some wrestling with him every now and then. But anyway, so he actually gave me I think it was my very first book. He let me borrow TMNT and the first edition Heroes Unlimited book. And when I borrowed those, I loved them. I went to give them back, and he said I could keep TMNT. Awesome, which I still have to this day, the exact copy he gave me. I went out and got my own Heroes Unlimited book with, I think it was allowance money at the time, which was the first edition book. And then shortly after that, the second edition came out, and my mom actually got it for me for Easter. So I had both the Heroes Unlimited first and second edition, and then I had TMNT. But before I had those, my very first character was inspired by Sting from WCW, and I made a Heroes Unlimited character that was an alien from a glass alien from a high gravity planet, which is part of the reason they had crystal skin, or that's how I justified it. But on top of that, my friend who lived across the way from me also lived in the same series of buildings as him. He had made I want to say it was a physical training character who had like a couple cybernetic implants and basically was a government project. Now, we didn't start together. The way the game started was, and I really wanted to play Heroes Unlimited. I wasn't interested in Rifts as much as I was playing a superhero. So my character was an alien flying into orbit, or flying in, down to Earth over like over like the Virginia area where there's mountains and forests and things like that. My friend's character was part of an organization and was sent to investigate. And then there was another group that was like trying to shoot me down. So there was him trying to rescue me. There was another group trying to shoot me down. And then, me. So my character, as he was studying Earth, coming here, picked up satellite signals and saw wrestling. So then his disguise kit was to be like Sting. That's how we justified it. Well, I got shot down and crashed. And then this group picked me up in a helicopter to take me back to their base. Well, we got caught up in a rift and ended up in Rifts in the first session. It was cool. It was a lot of fun, but I did not want to be in Rifts. I didn't want to play Rifts. I wanted to play Heroes Unlimited. I wanted to be a superhero. That's what I wanted. I think we only played maybe one more time. And I don't remember a lot about it. But I know I loved it. Like, it was cool. Like, I was excited about this. And over the years, I just couldn't find people to play. Shortly after we played that, I moved, my friend moved, and then the older guy ended up moving too. And I think it was about 5 years before I found out, he was back in the area. Actually, I don't think he was back in the area. or yeah, he was. But then he moved to like Coldwater, which is like an hour and a half away. But anyways, so we did that, and then yeah, I just couldn't find another group. I don't know. So it was a good experience. I did enjoy it, even though I didn't really like the direction it went into another system. Same system, kind of, but yeah. What was my first experience like running a game? The very first time I ran a game was actually probably like, gosh, 6 years ago. 5 years ago? 6 years ago. It was before my wife was pregnant with my daughter, I think. And we decided, because I moved in with my wife and she had D&D books, and I was like, oh, well, look what I got. And that brought up the conversation of, well, do we want to try and get back into this hobby? And she was cool with it. Well, we decided to ask my sister and her husband if they wanted to play, because they had done like role playing through like MySpace. I guess you could create a fake another MySpace that was your character, and then go to like different pages to role play in the comments section or something. I don't know. I don't know a lot about it, but I know they role played. So I was like, oh, they'd be perfect for this. And they were really shy. So we decided my wife was going to run 2nd edition D&D and I was going to run Heroes Unlimited. I ran the first game, had no idea what I was doing. I think I over prepped for the wrong stuff. I wanted them to put a lot of effort into their characters. I gave them like questionnaire sheets that were like 3 pages, like just ridiculous. It was bad. Just really, really bad. The idea was they were superheroes that were hired into an organization to protect a city, which was Century Station, I think. Was that my first one? I don't even remember now. I think it was Century Station. It was. And then what I did is I said, okay, your base is on a mountain overlooking the city, whatever. Couldn't get them on the path that I wanted them. They had a lot of hooks, but didn't know what to do with them. And it was very GM driven. I didn't want to drive it. I wanted it to be a sandbox, but I should have identified it early on and just took control and ran it. So that's kind of what happened there. Didn't run real smooth. So yeah, but I learned. I ran a couple. After that, I think I ran one more game like that, and then that was it. My next game was a few years ago that I ran. I ran a couple online games through chat and stuff that were okay, through like a text, like type up chat that were okay. But again, that was a lot of work too. Had some problem players, but either way, and that was over through the Palladium Books forums and chat. But yeah, and I did a couple play-by-post games that I played. I didn't run. So anyways, it was fun though. I still enjoyed it, even though I wasn't good at it. And then, so that was around 2010, I think, that I ran it, my first game. Around 2011. Yeah, it was 2011. I had surgery for my gallbladder. While I was out, that's when I found the RPG Brigade, which helped me because I watched a ton of videos, whether it was DFC, WWAD, definitely Tim Harper's channel. In fact, Tim Harper, Dom Forgecast, and Andrew Wood, those 3 were the first channels I really found and started watching. And I watched all of their videos, like went and just hit them all. In that time, I found a couple other channels, but those 3, like Tetsubo, I found his. Tetsubo's channel I like, but when he does a series of videos that have nothing to do with RPGs, every now and then I just get irritated and I'm like, nope, unfollow. Then every once in a while I come back. So right now he's on my he's on my subscription list. But yeah, so I did that and learned a lot, which helped in the future. So if you suck at first, it's okay. Sometimes diving in, just doing it is what you need to do. But there's so many resources now that can help you that you shouldn't really have a hard time anymore. But yeah, I kind of did it blind. I did it based on reading the books and was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And went in and ran it, because at the time, Palladium Books doesn't have a good book that tells a new player how to run a game. They just don't. Their GM's guide has a lot of idea stuff, but it doesn't tell you what you should really do when you first sit down and run a game. What was it like designing your own system? I've never designed my own system fully. I've sat there and tried to, like, I've started writing systems in the past, and they've been influenced by what I was into at the time and things like that. And actually, right now, I have a notepad app on my phone that I put notes in there, and you can put whatever you want. I put story hooks, setting ideas, and I actually have one that's for a setting system idea I have right now. That, who knows, maybe if I get really motivated and can, have a lot of time on my hands, maybe I'll just put it all down into a Word document sometime and show someone and get their input and maybe do something with it. But I've never fully designed a whole system. What was it like making your own setting? I'm always working on my own setting. I have one world that I work on. And right now, most of it, the stuff that I've drawn out is explained. Like, I've got an idea for every area for the most part. But I'm always adding more, like recently I was inspired by a video online to add a forest that has a special tree in the middle. And I took influence from a few different things for that. But it's not a normal tree. So I've done that. I love it. I love working on my setting. I love coming up with ideas for it. And a lot of the ideas have come from in-game stuff too, because I've ran all my online games have happened in my own setting. My home campaigns I've ran have happened in my own setting. And I love working on that. I love it when I come up with new ideas. Right now, I've got 4 different notepads, or 4 different notes in my notepad that are related to my setting and their regions, of notes. So, why do you think tabletop RPGs are not known about by a good many of people in the public? I'm very big on trying to promote our hobby. And I think the biggest problem we have is there's no promotion of our hobby. 5th edition came out last year and nobody was talking about it. Now, yes, it was talked about more than any other tabletop RPG, but you never saw it on TV in an advertisement during anything. The Shannara Chronicles on MTV would have been a great opportunity for a commercial. You could capture that type of audience, and boom. But nope, no commercial. In fact, I don't think they've had a commercial for D&D since maybe early 90s. The Hero Quest commercial was sweet back in like 91, 89, whenever it was. So I think the big issue I see is lack of promotion outside of our hobby. Sure, we promote it with YouTube channels and in game stores sometimes. Let's be honest, a lot of our game stores aren't good for carrying tabletop RPGs. Great for board games, great for comic books, not much for RPGs. For example, in Grand Rapids, there were a couple places I could go that carried RPGs, but there wasn't a lot there. Grand Land was one of them. They just closed down. There was a comic shop on 28th Street that shut down. Both of those have shut down in the last year. Outside of that, there was Big Kid Games up on Plainfield that didn't have a lot for sale that I saw. But I only went there, I think, twice, and that was to play Pathfinder Society. What else? Yeah, besides that, there was, what is it? Is it Borders or Barnes & Noble? I always forget what's left. Barnes & Noble is left, I think. Right? I don't know. One of those two. Whatever one is still around. They carry gaming books. Usually it's a couple shelves about that long, and that's it. It's not a full shelf usually. Sometimes it is, depending on where you're at. My local gaming store, now that I'm back in the Ann Arbor area, I have two. I have one that's in Ypsilanti called Fun for All. Love going there. That's one of my favorite places to go. And then there's another place called Vault of Midnight, which I enjoy going there too for different reasons. Vault of Midnight has a very small, looks like a magazine shelf that you would see at like a gas station or something, or it's got a bunch of stuff in it. That's their books. And then they might have miniatures in a little tiny IKEA 2-shelf bookshelf next to it. But I haven't seen them the last few months I've been there. They don't have a ton of options book-wise. But yeah, now Fun for All has 2 normal bookshelves with 2 shelves on each. I think it's 2. Yeah, 2 shelves on each. And so you can walk around it. And then they have their board games that are related to D&D on top. And they have a locked case for the D&D cards. And then they have a bunch of miniatures behind the counter. So you can buy Rusty Dragon Inn Pathfinder, D&D for the different ones they have out right now. The Iconics, the Big Dragon. They have all that stuff behind the shelf, which is kind of nice. So that's why I like to go there. I try to go there, or I was trying to go there every week or two and pick up a box of miniatures. In fact, I just bought some yesterday, a couple. So anyways, so my big thing is marketing, though. In that store, both stores are huge. Both of them are comic book stores, so it is what it is, but they don't have a lot of space dedicated to RPGs. It's a very small space. So it's disappointing, but at the same time, at least there's something. So anyways, I think if we promoted it better and companies promoted their product better, we would do okay. So I think it would be a hobby that could grow. And it's hard to grow a hobby when the only people promoting it are the people that are paying to be part of it anyway. So anyways, that's my thoughts on that. Number 8, what is an RPG and why are these types of games fun? An RPG is a role-playing game. You role play and you play a game. It's both. It's not just role playing and it's not just a game. Now, some people like more of the role playing, some people like more of the game, some people like, whatever. But that's what it is. It's a role playing game. Now, what that means is you, as a player, tend to take on a role of a character. And you take that character and you go on adventures and you play to whatever the story of the game is. If it's D&D, you could be doing a lot of things. The story could be fighting monsters. It can be saving people. It can be running a shop if that's what you really want to do with your group. It could be a lot of things. You could play a superhero role-playing game, and the idea is that you are a superhero saving the world or saving the city. A pirate role-playing game where you're out trying to find treasure and discover new lands. There's so many different types of role-playing games, and it's amazing. I highly encourage anyone to get out there and do it at least once. Number 9, if you're going to teach a new player how to play RPGs, how would you go about doing that? This one is a little bit tough for me. I don't think I'm the best at teaching people how to play RPGs. I think it depends, and you're going to get different answers from different people. Because of how I am, I like to know the general mechanics of a system. And I like to know what is possible with my characters within the rules of the system. So when I am learning a new system, I like to start with creating a character. I'll read the book, and then I create a character. Now, when I'm trying to teach somebody a system, I usually start with character creation. I say, all right, let's make a character. Let's sit down. This is the genre. It's a medieval fantasy style game. So knowing that, come up with a concept and we sit down to meet on this day. We can try to make the character reflect your concept. For example, I have a friend that just started with my 5th edition group, my non-couples group, and he's never played a tabletop RPG. He's watched my videos here. And what I did with him is I said, hey, think about what kind of character you want to play. Whether it's a fighter, spellcaster, long-range guy, stealthy, whatever it is. Think of a video game, movie, some kind of character from something else to influence the idea. And that's how I start with almost every new player. So when he showed up, he wanted to make a character that was sort of like his Skyrim character in the sense that it was a stealthy, long-range type of character. So we decided, okay, knowing that, here's our options. Here's the races. This is what the different races do, and because we're playing 5th edition. Other games, there might not be different races. But anyway, so I said, these are the races. This is what they do, what they tend to be good at, what they don't. You don't have to pick a race that reflects that. But, this is that. And then I gave them a little bit of setting info, like, hey, these types of races usually have a hard time, in socializing or being in cities or whatever. Then I did the same thing with classes. I said, okay, knowing the type of character you want to make, here's the classes that best suit it. There's these other classes, but these are the ones that best suit it. Now, my friend, being someone who plays a ton of video games, still understands the concept of how this stuff works anyway, so that helped. But somebody who didn't, I think just narrowing it down to a few choices makes it easier. And as I did that, we picked, I think I narrowed it down to Barbarian, Fighter, Rogue, and Ranger. Those are the 4. He ended up choosing a Rogue. One of the things he liked was the whole idea of sneak attack and stealth and having multiple actions and stuff like that. And, I explained the different attributes, how they're affected, what they're best for with different classes, all sorts of stuff, but I think I overwhelmed him a little bit with the amount of information, but I tried not to. So when I teach someone, I start with the character. Say, what kind of character do you like? And then we model a character off of that. Then we go into, the equipment and all that. We get a character done, and then I just say, okay, you're going to be playing with a group that has played before. You're going to be pretending you're a character, and usually I don't even let them start right off the bat taking control. But with the same group, I had at the start of the campaign another kid who had never played. His name was Dominic, and he jumped right into role playing. Boom! He was telling the story about how he assassinated a bunch of gnomes and all this stuff, and he's a gnome too. Within the first 5 minutes of gameplay, it was funny. So he grasped the role playing aspect right away. My friend who just started with us, he had said originally, "Well, I don't think I'm going to role play much. I just want to." Part of my language, fuck shit up. He wanted to kill a lot of stuff. And I said, okay, that's cool. And he ended up getting into the role-playing aspect and coming up with some interesting things that he could do. And I gave him some pointers after the session, too. I said, hey, you did a good job. And I was like, there was at this point, you probably could have done something like this to add something to it and this. But I said, you did awesome. For your first game, you were great. And so he was excited and he can't wait to play again. So teach people how you think is best, but I've had pretty good success teaching people about how to make the kind of character they like first, and then basically just jumping into it and seeing other people play it. And I tell them, you can be, a little shy at first or whatever until you're comfortable. But yeah, work on getting comfortable, basically. Number 10, what age group do you think plays these games more than any other age groups? This is a tough one because I try to think about what I've witnessed, whether it's through our fellow YouTube channels or, at conventions, at the game stores, I would honestly say the age group is probably somewhere between right now, maybe 20 and 28. And the reason I say that is probably the most popular age group is because I don't know how many kids are playing it in high school. I feel like technology has kind of taken over. And I don't know if we're doing a good enough job promoting our hobby to younger kids. And I think as you get older, when you have a family, it gets harder to play RPGs, time constraints and things like that. So I think it's probably, under 28, maybe over 20. So maybe 20 to 28. I don't know. That I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts on that. But that's what I would guess. What overall benefits do you think a person that plays RPGs has that perhaps a non-gamer wouldn't have or would have less of? Oh, that's tough. I don't really know. Maybe improvisation, because you practice it in RPGs. That is a tough one. I don't know if I have a good answer for that other than maybe improvising, maybe quick reaction time mentally, but that's not fully true because I know a lot of RPG players who don't have quick reactions mentally to things, like with witty comebacks. There we go. Witty comebacks, actually. Yeah, we'll say witty comebacks. Sorry, Tim. I don't know. Number 12. Have you ever seen a RPG session break out in any violence? Or have you ever seen with your own eyes people becoming more violent after playing RPGs? Never violence. I've had a group when I ran encounters that was always on edge because they had different styles of play. I had one girl who never wanted to really do combat, and almost half the group always wanted to be in combat. And it led to some tense things where she'd be like, oh, why can't we just role play? Crap like that. Well, apparently when I gave up the group and wasn't running it anymore, they got into a huge fight, not fist fight, but a shouting match. And it led to, at that time, it had grown pretty large. In fact, Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, I think, was one of the DMs. And then the other one was the one girl's father. And he said, hey, because I gave him the reins of it, he said, hey, I'll run it. And then, so him and Jake were the DMs, I think. And Jake ran the more role-play heavy table, and Frank, I think was his name, ran the combat heavy table. And that's what they did. And then I went and showed up for, I think, 1 or 2 times after that to play. But yeah. But no, I've never seen anyone be more violent because of RPGs. Not at all. Do you think RPGs are still seen as much of a negative thing as they once were? This is a tough one to answer. I do think it's still stigmatized. I still think people have a problem with it. I don't know if it's as big as it was in the 80s. I don't think it gets the media attention for sure. So I think that does play a role in it. But I don't, for example, if you go to a church and ask them about a Ouija board, I think they're going to have a huge problem with it. If you follow that up with, well, what do you think about Dungeons and Dragons? A lot of people are ignorant. They don't know about our hobby. And so, yes, they probably will. You probably will get a good amount of people that have a problem with it. Is it rightfully so? No. I think RPGs are great. I do think, and here's the thing. If you're a believer or not, that kind of dictates what you think on this. I am a Christian. I believe in God. I've done videos on it. I think, and it's just like with food, anything in moderation is fine. When something becomes obsessive and it ruins the rest of your life, that's addiction. And addiction is not good. And for me, I have a very addictive personality. I do get addicted to things. I'm addicted to food. I'm working on battling that now. I'm addicted to RPGs. I have a wife who has to keep me in check, or I will drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars if, she would let me. So, that's a problem. And I think if you, depending on your faith, that can be a problem towards your faith. Are you giving your time to God the way you should? But again, that's a whole nother thing. That's a religious topic. When it comes to RPGs alone, no, there's nothing wrong with RPGs the way they are as they are. So there shouldn't be a problem, but I do think people do have a problem. And most of it's because they don't understand it. So that's it. That's my 13 questions for Tim Harper. I'm also going to do a video response to Dark Hessian's Are Gamers All Into Metal, or something like that, I think is the name of it. Let me look. Gamers in Metal, are you a heavy metal fan? So if you're interested in seeing that, come back tomorrow. I will have that up on Sunday, the 17th. So thank you for watching this. And Tim, good luck on your project, buddy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So thank you.